It was a typical night in the big city. Cold, rainy, too many mouths, not enough food to feed them. I was finishing up another night of trying to sniff out crime. Nothing of note though, just more loose ends that needed tying up. Something didn't sit right with me. I had all the pieces of the puzzle, but it didn't quite add up. Well, not unless. Final clue. Could it be pointing to the old abandoned house by the chicken restaurant? No, it can't be. No, that is impossible. No. Huh, that was weird. Anyways, I think what my friend Detective Vypr is trying to say is that today we're going to be building a sniffer farm. And I have just the place in mind for our farm, and it's going to be right over here by those shulker boxes. So for the past few days off camera, I've just been gathering up some materials and breeding up the sniffers over in Midtown because I want to build this big sniffer pen right here. And I'm thinking maybe we have a couple nice like custom yellow aspen trees right here in the background. Just because I think this is going to be beautiful right with the mountain and the trees. And I want this to be really scenic, you know, kind of like the rest of the countryside is so far. So let's hop into a time lapse and see what I come up with. Yup, this is it. This is what I was hoping for. These trees, oh, guys, they turned out so well. I am super happy with these. I mean, obviously, this is just a little fence, you know, pen, whatever. I almost said fence gate. That's not right. It's a little pen, but these trees, man. Whew, I just been standing here for a couple minutes just looking at them. I have wanted to build some of these like yellow aspeny kind of trees. I think, yeah, yellow aspens. I think that's what they're called. But I have wanted to build these for a long time. And I found a couple really cool references online. But I don't know why. Yeah, I just never thought that I could do this well. But I think it turned out pretty good. I've also been trying like even you'll see with the fences, like there's some darker, dark oak mixed in with the spruce, trying to like, you know, paint out maybe like where the shadows would be a little bit, still a little like random, but obviously like it's a lot darker over here from the trees. And then doing the same thing with the trees. You can kind of see, I don't need to go in free cam, but there's a lot of the lighter, like yellow wool on the back because, well, of course the sun's right there now, but the sun, right, it rises and is shining down on the trees from there. So it makes sense, like maybe these are, here, I'm going in free cam anyways. Makes sense these are a little bit lighter. And then towards the front of the trees, right, we have the darker stuff here. So with the yellow concrete, and then even like in more where you like wouldn't get too much sun peeking through, I've added in some honey blocks and some of the glazed terracotta just kind of sprinkled around. But yeah, I wanted to make them feel a little bit unique as well. Like a lot of them have like the little candles on the top, but some of them have the full blocks. Obviously, they're all a bunch of different heights. And then we have, if I go back down here, Some of like the smaller ones, right, that are maybe just babies. They're only like a couple years old, where these ones have been here for a while. But I just love this view with the mountain in the back. Like the idea is the path's gonna wind from there, or maybe both. But you get this beautiful view with like this like little farmhouse here, the sniffers, and then the trees. And who knows what's going to be over there? There'll probably be a path, extending over to the back of the castle, front of the city there, or front of the mountain rather. City's over there. But yeah, I am just super happy with how this has gone. But more importantly, I have 10 sniffer eggs here that I've been getting from breeding up our sniffers over in Midtown. And I think we're just going to go ahead and start placing these guys down. I know they grow up quicker on moss, so maybe eventually we'll add in some moss here. But I think what I'd like to do right now is add in the redstone collection system because, well, there's 10 of them. Hopefully they're going to be digging up a lot of stuff so I can make some torch flower and pitcher plant fields all kind of around the world here. But I'm not going to be around to manually collect these all the time. So we're going to run some hopper minecarts underneath of here and just make a simple little collection system. So you guessed it. That means it's time for another installment of everybody's favorite segment, Redstone with Vypr. This concludes Redstone with Vypr. Well, that has got to be some of the most Vypr redstone I've ever done. As you guys could see from the time lapse there, that was a little more complicated than it had to be. But we are up and running now. So initially, I tried to make the rails underneath of here, like in the shape of the pen, just to like, quite literally cut corners. Didn't work out. Honestly, terrible idea in hindsight. Like just having like 11 different hopper minecarts. No, silly idea. I don't know what I was thinking. But now basically this whole entire square, and if I go into Recam, you can see that this whole entire square reaching out even into our trees a little bit is all covered up by this minecart. So yeah, it just kind of goes back and forth along here. It picks up all the pitcher pods and everything, and it works pretty well. So I have this little scaffolding here, and basically just like a little basic collection system. And I've already picked up a good bit from it. Yeah, like as you can see, 26 pitcher pods and then 6 torch flowers, but I was using those torch flower seeds to really breed these guys up. I think we're getting close to 20 sniffers. So yeah, the pen's starting to fill up. I wouldn't mind getting a couple more guys in here. I don't want it to be too crammed, right? I want them to have comfortable living conditions, but I do want this to be pretty efficient. And now that this thing has been painstakingly rebuilt and quite honestly taken way too much time off of my life, I want to build something fun. So I think we're going to hop into a time lapse here, and I'm going to get started on the farmhouse. Yeah, this is like exactly what I had in mind for this, you guys. I am so happy with this build. I mean, I know I said that with this, but it's true. This is like quickly become one of, if not my favorite areas of the world, which is cool because like a couple of days ago, I didn't really have a plan for this. So yeah, dude, this build, it's very much, I don't know if you guys watch Flip. If you don't, you should, but it's very much inspired. He did like a woolly cow ranch like a few months ago. And I saw that and I was like, yeah, I want to do something kind of like that because I really like the idea of, at least in my mind, like this used to be like a really beautiful, like white farmhouse, ranch house kind of thing. But now like the paint is like weathered away, right, from being so close to the coast here. So you can see how that's kind of taken its toll. And that's why we get some like the moss and the lichen glowing on here. And then this little like side piece, maybe this actually like used to be the original house or something from like, you know, 100 years ago, and they kind of built on, like maybe it was like a little shack and now they'll use this as like a little tack room or something, or like a little shed. And then kind of transitioning into the full build here. If I go into free cam for a second, lot to talk about here, right? Like the bottom half is pretty much entirely stripped away of that paint. And we do have like the weathered grates for windows down here. I thought that was really cool. And like the shutters. And then in front, right, we have just some azalea leaves here, right, to get some like more foliage. And maybe we'll do some more, like I want to add in pathways here soon. Lodestones, almost forgot to mention these. So glad they're cheaper now because they're such a cool decorative block. I haven't done a whole lot with them, but I think they're like perfect in here, right? It makes sense that they would be more of like a foundational kind of block here, and what we could, I don't know, might call like the Sniffer Manor or, you know, Sniffer Ranch, whatever. We'll talk more about that later. But at least for the upper half, I like couldn't really decide on what type of windows to do. So I said, you know what? This is an old house. It makes sense that at points this was like kind of cobbled together. So maybe we have more of these like almost, I want to call them like boat cannon windows. You know what I'm talking about? Like on a ship like Pirates of the Caribbean, they have those little flaps with the cannons. Kind of reminds me of that, but I like it a lot. And then obviously this little protrusion maybe was like an addition later on, because you know you can see that wood, so it kind of sticks out. But I really like that, and I tried to add in I don't know the exact name. I always call them yellow frog lights. We'll call them yellow, the yellow ones, just for like a little bit of lights, especially at night, and you're like far away up on the hill. You can see the light coming from the windows, like somebody is home, even though again it is empty inside. Oh, and then windows up top there, those gosh, I'm totally blanking on the name, but those cool little roof windows, dormer windows maybe, I don't know, somebody correct me. And a little weather vane there on the top. Then we have this big chimney. I would imagine, you know, to heat this whole thing back in the day, this is like a big wood burning chimney / stove. You know, this is kind of like the central point of the house. And then, you know, a little ladder so they could get up if they needed to do maintenance, or like a chimney sweep needs to clean it. And then, you know, keeping the signs wrapped around. We come around to the, lava. I didn't know that was there, but towards the beach here. Maybe one day we'll do some like terraforming along the edges. Maybe even like a boat or something would be cool. But much of the same. We have the windows up top there. Another little weather vane in the back. Our little cannon-y type windows. And then more of like the yellow frog lights in here. I'll give you guys a little better view of that. And we do have a back door, because this door here, right, is just kind of fake. It's a faux door. And then we can also get in here. So I think I would like to do an interior one day. But right now I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. I've also been itching to use this like just regular pale log, like not the stripped version. I think I used some of the stripped in the aspens over there. But this looks just really cool, like almost like this dilapidated texture. And then I didn't want to use lodestones again, but I always think that these like tough blocks, especially these chisel tough ones, they look very like fancy, sophisticated. So, you know, at one point in time, this probably was like, wow, like a beautiful, like wealthy kind of house, whatever, like a big like status symbol. But obviously now it is still very beautiful, but in its own way, you know, very different. And another cool thing about building the sniffer farm here first, then the house, is if we come down here, this thing has been running, and look at that. We have almost a stack of each. And I want to say I have even more back in my storage system in the castle. The other thing I want to talk about is this chimney, like the smoke coming out of the chimney. I took a long time designing this, and I am really happy with it. I shouldn't say that. But I think maybe I could do better. I think maybe it goes like angled too much. Maybe it needs to come up and then angle like a tiny bit more. But I worked on a couple different iterations of this, and I think I mentioned it already. I'm trying to get this all recorded and out because I am going on a trip here soon. So you know what? Maybe that's something we'll revisit. But for my first ever like glass anything, you know, like chimney glass feature, whatever, I'm really happy with this. But if you guys have any, you know, tips or ideas for how we could redo this, or like videos and things that I need to watch to get better with glass work, let me know, and I would be happy to take a look at them, because yes, that's something I want to perfect. And you know, don't want everything to be a campfire chimney in this world. I think especially out here in the countryside, having this effect is like very whimsical. I do still want to plant some new fields with our new sniffer seeds, but before we do that, I think we need to get this guy connected up to the rest of the world because, well, it's a little lonely over here. And plus, that gives us more time to get more seeds, and more seeds means more plants, more fields, and just more happiness overall. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the time lapse. And the pathway is in place. So I just kind of took this pathway here, heading down to our little seaside cottage. And I wrapped it right in between these fields. So our little like cabbage, lettuce field, and then, you know, our like secondary wheat kind of thing with the dried grass we did a few episodes back. And it winds you nicely around here. And then we get this really cool view of the sniffer farm, the sniffer farmhouse, all that stuff. And then it wraps us very nicely, kind of winding our way up to here. And I think it might be nice to add in some of those fields, like the sniffer pitcher pod. Yeah, pitcher pod. That's the one. I know what I'm talking about. Maybe some of those in here. And I think just all around the world in general. And I do like, if we go back up here, that we have this like unobstructed view. Like, I think the fields would look nice, but I thought about putting some trees, but then that totally blocks this beautiful view you get from here. And there is one more view I want to show you guys. I thought about putting the pathway here, and maybe there should be a pathway here, but I do think it is kind of nice, like if we play around with the sight line. So the city, I think eventually we are going to have some like castle walls and stuff, so you're not really going to see, and maybe we'll have some like trees or something here, and then maybe we have another pathway that like brings you, and then like you step here and wow, you get this big open view of it. But like we could put like some rocks or like boulders or trees or whatever to like play with the sight line, because I think that this, yeah, is just kind of another magical view of it. I also wanted to point out before we get working on those other fields that I did go around and light this whole area up. So I like doing the mossy carpet with the green, I think they're ochre, verdant frog lights, the green ones. And now this whole area, as you can see, is spawn proof. So pretty much nothing can spawn here. There's like some areas in between here in the mountain that are spawnable, but for the most part, it's all spawn proof. And the benefit of working in this area so closely to the sniffer farm is that It has been working really well, guys. We have more than enough to build these 2 fields that I want to build before the end of the episode. Before we jump into those time lapses though, I just want to say thank you guys so much for the support last episode. That was awesome. You guys crushed it. I appreciated all the nice comments and whatnot as well. So thank you so much for that. And stick around to the end here to see the comment of the day. And I also wanted to mention, if you've stuck around this far, maybe consider subscribing, maybe even liking the video. I would really appreciate it. It would mean a lot to me, and I do love getting to hear from you guys. So let me know what you think. And yeah, it's just a good way to interact with the channel, and it is much appreciated. But with all that yapping out of the way, let's go ahead and build some fields. Yep, these are definitely some of the fields of all time. But no, I, surprise, surprise, am really happy with how these turned out. The shape of this one, the torch flower field's a little weird. Maybe I might like wrap it around more. So like it expands out a little bit, like almost like they're kind of grown into one another. But I'm pretty happy with this pitcher plant one. Gosh, guys, it only took me the whole episode, but I know how to say it finally. But yeah, I think that this turned out really cool. Now, I know with these, like, all right, tell you what, let's jump over to Midtown real quick. So over here in Midtown, I know we can place them down like this. And then I do have a resource pack that lets me get like little clusters of flowers because I think it makes them look a little bit better. But I wonder if we do this, like we break them when they grow and place them down like actual flowers, because I think, yeah, so you can just break it and it's a pitcher plant. So I don't, instead of, yeah, the pod. So I don't know if maybe that's what we should do. But I do kind of like the little base that we have here. And I think that only goes away when you break it. I guess I could, oh, I just broke that, but, so then, yeah, so see, then we could place that on the dirt. Although, maybe we could do a little bit of both. Honestly, it is kind of cool to have, maybe some fields of each. So maybe these ones, like, are being grown because obviously they're growing them. They have the seeds from the sniffers, and then maybe elsewhere in the world. Oh, guys, look at this. We're coming up with lore on the fly. Maybe elsewhere in the world we have them actually grown like flowers because they're buying them from the sniffer market, and maybe we'll build like a little market stall in the city, something like that. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I think that's a pretty good little tidbit, little bit of lore. I really want to show you guys what these fields look like when they're all fully grown, and I don't really feel like bone mealing everything, so there's one or two little things we can do to pass the time. One of those things is texturing the sniffer pen a little bit more. So I brought some moss, some coarse dirt, and leaf litter among other things, just to kind of make this look a little bit more like the sniffers are, actually in here digging things up, so maybe it's not as pristine and perfect, although I'm kind of terrified that they're gonna fall in. So I'm trying to do just like little baby sections at a time, but I think all these guys are grown up already, so we shouldn't have too much of a problem with that. And there we go. I gotta say, I am glad that these guys move slow and have big hitboxes, because I was really worried that they were just gonna like fall down and get caught under here, and then I didn't know how to get them out, and yeah, that would have been kind of a nightmare. But honestly, they weren't too bad. If anything, I did some bone mealing in here, as you could tell, but I didn't want any flowers. If anything, I was just really worried that I was gonna hit them, which I did not want to do. I love these little guys, and you know, they are super efficient and helpful as well, so definitely don't want to hit him at all. I also went ahead and did some more bone mealing to make some, you know, fluffier kind of grass along here and just fill it out. And I left in some of the dandelions as well as some of the white flowers. So I think that's like the oxy daisies and the azure bluets. And I think, yeah, they really add a nice little pop of color just every now, kind of tying in these yellow aspen trees. But I specifically got rid of any of the blue and red ones because, well, the blue and reddish colors, right, are coming from these fields here, and they look so cool. Oh, this could use some bone meal. But this looks so cool, guys. Like, I want you to see this at night too. Maybe I'll add in a little clip here at night, but like this, thumbnail potential right there. I mean, look at that. That just looks so pretty. I can actually see a couple little places I need to add in some bone meal just to get some more grass, but wow. Like this is exactly what I had in mind when I was picturing this area just a few days ago. So, whew, I am super, super happy with this. And yeah, there's a few more things I want to do. I'm going to add in some more bone meal and stuff, but that'll probably just be off camera in between episodes here. But before we wrap up, there is one other thing that we have to do. All right, and I have the comment of the day here. We missed a few episodes. Oops, my bad. But from Xander. Xander said, "Sick. What inspires your builds?" And yeah, that is a great question. I would say there's a lot of different things that inspire my builds, like going out in nature and, you know, just kind of walking around, taking pictures, observing my surroundings. I also use a lot of like references and stuff on Pinterest, and just in general, like absorbing, you know, Minecraft content. So some creators I've been really into lately are Bars. I would also say Schuler, Beans and Apples, you know, always Flip, anybody on the Hermitcraft server, Oh My Fish, lots of great creators. You know, I try to find big and small creators out there and just, you know, take inspiration and make sure to support them along the way as well. But that is gonna do it from me, you guys. And here it is at nighttime as promised. I think it looks beautiful, and I hope you do too. If you stuck around to the very end, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I hope you'll stick around for more content with me. But with that being said, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.